comes to talk. I wanted to talk about a couple of things that I was not able to get to on the radio show today because, of course, the main topic was Tim Walz and his disgusting behavior. But there's a couple of other big stories that are pretty important, and they've got to be talked about. One's about the polls, and the other is about this town hall meeting with African-American women on cable yesterday talking about Kamala. Now, so far as the polls, I want to talk about the polls first, okay? Trump is leading in most every single battleground state poll. I don't pay attention to the national polls because the national polls don't matter because they cover, you know, California and New York and all that stuff. I only look at the battleground polls, and there's 7 battleground states, and Trump is leading in most every poll in the battleground states. But what the left did was what they always do, did something incredibly dishonest. The Democrats at the New York Times took a poll in battleground states. It's the New York Times Siena poll. And it is of registered voters, not likely voters. So just based on that, it is very left-leaning. They oversampled Democrats, oversampled liberals by quite a bit. And they also only polled in these states 653 or so people in each state, 653 or so in Michigan. The numbers are different by less than 10 depending on what state. So they have this very small sample of oversampled Democrats because they wanted to do a poll that gave them a result that Kamala was ahead. And there has not been a lot of polling done in the last few days for the public to see. So what this fake Democrat poll did was throw off the Real Clear Politics average and make it appear as though Kamala Harris is leading in Michigan, Wisconsin, and that is just not the case. You know, how can you have a sample size of just 650 some odd people in an entire state and say, okay, this is how Michigan is going to go? That's a push poll. It's designed to push people in a certain direction and believing a certain thing, and that is that she's ahead. And what they're trying to do a lot of things. They're trying to discourage, you know, MAGA people. But they're giving Michigan and Wisconsin to Kamala and making it look as if everything depends on Pennsylvania, that if Trump doesn't win Pennsylvania, it's lost. Kamala and Tim Walz will win. And that poll is what you call an outlier, okay? If I was worried about the polls, believe me, I would tell you. But I went yesterday and looked at the methodology, and when I saw, one, it's registered voters, which leans left, and they only polled just 650 some odd people in Michigan, that tells me right there's a problem with it. And finding that methodology, it's not that difficult. In most of the stories online, they link to the poll, and if you click the link, you can go through and see. One of the states they did, they only polled 640 some people. It was like 647 or so. That might have been Wisconsin. Very tiny sample size. The poll is not a scientific poll. It is completely meaningless. And, you know, the media know this. They know how biased the poll is. They know the poll's not scientific. They know that the New York Times poll is biased to give an outcome that shows that Kamala has momentum. She does not have momentum. Proof that she does not have momentum is not just the fake crowd sizes. And don't believe their lies. Those crowds were fake, each and every one of them. The Air Force Two, that was AI. They were paying people $250 each to go to her one of her rallies over the weekend. You know, all that stuff's true. Don't let them tell you anything different. But if she had momentum, other than the crowds would be real and organic. She wouldn't have stolen that issue from Trump, or tried to steal it, I should say, that no taxes on tips. The fact that she took one of Trump's major campaign promises and is trying to make it her own shows that their internal polling that the public will never see shows that they're in trouble and on the ropes. That's why they grabbed onto that poll. So that's that. We're going to have to wait. It's going to be, I don't know, the convention's next week. It'll probably be September before we start seeing some real polls here. What we're seeing right now is just total BS, and we're going to have to get used to it. That's just the way it is. We're going to have to get used to it. You know, that's why I don't typically follow polls. The only reason I've been doing so much coverage on the polls is because everyone's been talking about them. So I feel like when the polls are being discussed, I'm exhausted when I get off the air. Today was an exhausting show. The polls are being discussed so much, I feel obligated to correct the misinformation that's being put out there about all of these fake polls. Now, the story that I was going to lead with today, but then I went with the Tim Walz story, which dominated the show, rightly so, and I hope that Trump's team over at Mar-a-Lago heard my broadcast today on the radio, because it's just an important show today. Very important show. You know, this guy Tim Walz is just dangerous, you know, and if you missed my previous stream, when you're done with this one, go back and watch that. What Tim Walz did to his own people is the most frightening thing I've ever seen an American governor do. It really is frightening. So MSNBC did a focus group with a group of black women about Kamala. And what that was about was really horrifying. And they were talking about how bad their economic situation is and how bad it is for women they know who are struggling just to buy the basic necessities like food for their families. And they very specifically blamed Kamala for it. And, you know, the inflation has hit people hard. I mean, it's really hit people hard in this country. I mean, you know, especially families with children. And what is her answer to that? Trump's answer is to bring prices down, right? Start drilling for oil. You know, the two things that have driven up cost and have caused inflation is, of course, the oil prices. But the main cause is all this spending that the government's been doing in Ukraine. Over government spending. The government spending too much money is the number one cause of inflation. So all that's going to be reversed and the prices will come down. Kamala, she wants to go after grocery stores. Here in Florida, grocery chain is and in the state of Florida. And I like their chicken tender subs. They're so good. And my wife and I usually 1 week or two we'll get public subs for lunch, and they're pretty big, so it's like lunch and dinner. And they're usually about $6-7, which is pretty expensive for a sub. But chicken tenders, you know, it's good quality white meat chicken, you know. And I got a chicken sub from Publix on Monday, and it was not the best sub I've ever had. It was not, the chicken was not that good. But anyway, I told my wife, I said, ugh, this sub's not that good. I don't want, and she told me how much it cost. She says, well, do you know how much that Publix sub cost? I said, how much? She said $14. $14. I couldn't believe it. I said, if I would have known it was $14, I wouldn't have ordered it, wouldn't have wanted it. And she says, yeah, I know. It was insane. $14. So I won't be eating any of those anytime soon. To be $6-7, now it's $14. Could you imagine? And the food prices in this country up through the roof. And that is something that they are not factoring in on the polls. They ask them about, things like Israel and Ukraine. The inflation is what's really going against Kamala Harris and the Democrats. That's really what's going to hurt them more than anything in this election cycle is the inflation. People are struggling. If the economy was doing well, and what I mean by that is not the stock market. The stock market, most people, they're not into that. They're into how much it's costing them to buy food and gas. If things were going well in the country, right? Food prices are up 50% or more, depending on what you're buying. On average, 50%. So a lot of it's a lot higher. If things were going well in the country and we didn't have mass inflation, Kamala would have a chance. She'd have a chance. She'd still lose to Trump, but she'd have a chance. But struggles that people are going through in the country are so serious, so severe, and so desperate that it's hopeless for the Democrats. Now, if you're new to my channel, make sure you subscribe. You'll love my content. My name's Brian. This is most definitely where MAGA comes to talk. But the inflation, these women that, lifelong Democrats, black women that were on MSNBC, it's heartbreaking to watch how much they are suffering and their friends and family are suffering because of Kamala Harris. There's several stories today with migrant crime of several the two worst crimes that can be committed are rape and murder, right? Rape and murder, two worst crimes. There's several stories today of rapes and murders, sometimes both, committed by more illegals that came here under Kamala Harris. There's one where a guy raped an 11-year-old girl, an illegal. Can you imagine? All these women that are being raped and murdered by these illegals, none of it would have happened if Trump was still in office. It's all happened because of Kamala Harris having her border completely erased. It's not just that the border's open, they've erased the border off the map, right? Inflation is fine. Yeah, right. I know. Notice how many Democrats are claiming to be Trump supporters. Inflation is not fine. If what prices have gone down? No, the prices are still. Now, my goodness, you go there, two people, it's $50 at Chipotle. It's Subway. It's like high-end restaurant prices in these places. A family go to Subway. The days of the $5 footlong are over. Over $14 for a footlong. That's crazy. That's crazy. And the Democrats don't care. They don't care. The Democrats are mad at the American people because we're not supporting them. So they figure, the Democrats, we've been disloyal, not supporting them, so we deserve all of this suffering. And this thing about the childless cat ladies, right? What that means is it's not a statement on everyone who doesn't have children. It's a state. J.D. Vance said the Democrat Party is being run by childless cat ladies, and what J.D. means by that is this, and I'll use Kamala Harris as the example of this. She does not have children. Stepchildren do not count. Kamala, her entire life is dedicated to elevating herself personally. That's it. That's what her whole life is. She does not have children. She has no legacy. She doesn't care about this world outside of what makes it better for her while she is on it. Childless cat ladies that are politicians all care about the next highest office or getting through the next poll numbers, okay, with a desirable number. They don't care about the country or the world after they're no longer in it, when they move on. Those of us that have children think about you think about things long-term beyond your time on Earth because you have children and grandchildren, right? You want to leave a legacy to your family. And these childless cat ladies that are running the Democrat Party, they don't care about the future. So however much they screw over the country and the people, it doesn't matter so long as they elevate themselves personally while they're here on Earth. That's it. And having childless cat ladies running the country is a dangerous thing, people. It's a very dangerous thing. You look at it with Kamala. I mean, here's Kamala a couple days away, 5 days away from the convention. She has no platform. Her platform is, I'm a woman and I'm not white, vote for me. That's her whole platform. How is that a reason in 2024 to vote for someone? I can understand, decades ago it might be a big deal to have a woman run for president, a non-white person run for president. But been there, done that, okay? We're already beyond these things. The glass ceilings have all been broken. That's not a reason to vote for someone. And even if it were, you wouldn't want them at the top of the ticket. You'd want somebody maybe at the bottom of the ticket, but you certainly would want someone competent. She's vacuous. That's it. I mean, she doesn't have an understanding of anything. I don't believe that Kamala passed the bar. I really don't. I do not believe she passed the bar. I think her boyfriend, Willie Brown, she failed it. And I think Willie Brown fixed it so that she could get her law license. I don't think she passed it. I just don't. And you know what? I'm not alone in that. I'm sure she could produce the document that said she passed it, but I don't think she sat there and took the exam and passed the bar exam. She failed it once. Her boyfriend, Willie Brown, who was very powerful in California state politics at the time, got her that $90,000. He got her 2 jobs for the state. One was $73,000 and one was $90,000. You don't think a guy like that could get her passed by the California bar without her really passing the test? We'll never know. We'll never know. There's no way all these years later to investigate it, probably. Or maybe there is. I don't know. I know when I had to take some standardized testing, and I had to show ID, and they took a photograph of me holding my ID and all this stuff to prove that I was the one taking the test. And I imagine there's a similar process when you take a bar exam at the state level, but I don't know how long they keep those records. So those records may not exist anymore. Oh man, today's show was exhausting. It was a rough show today. There you are. A good show. The show was great today. Great, but these the topic was disturbing. Some of the Never Trumper callers were just psychotic. Had some of the most disturbing phone calls I've ever had on the radio today. Some of them were just really twisted people. I am right down the street from Trump Force One right now. But I got a busy day today. I don't have time to go by. I'll go by soon and show it to you guys again. I've gone down there many times on YouTube. If you look on my channel, you can find the videos. But here we are. We've had Tim Walz as the running mate for 10 days now. Has there been one positive story about Tim Walz that has come out? Has there been one redeeming story that has come out about him? Everything that's come out about Tim Walz shows that he's the worst choice ever chosen to be a running mate for any candidate for president of the United States. There's never been one so bad. Never. They're trying to portray him as your average Midwestern guy. He hunts, he fishes, he likes roller coasters. It's all lies. He's not. He's your typical average communist. That's for sure. But he's not your average Midwestern guy. That's for sure. It's not even up for debate. You know, the story of him with the National Guard shooting these civilian women with paintball guns, that's a big story. I know it's been reported. It's in the New York Post. I'm sure it's been mentioned on Fox. But that's the kind of story that's not just a morning story or a day. That's a long-term story. I mean, if I had the resources like Fox does, I would send a team of reporters to interview the women that got shot under Tim Walz's order with those paintball guns. Your average creep. Yeah, that's exactly what Tim Walz is. Your average creep. No doubt about that one. I mean, he's just a creep. But, you know, as I was saying today, though, he's not a kook. He is, without question, a very, very sophisticated operative for the CCP. He is definitely a Chinese agent. No doubt in my mind. And you look at his entire history, and it's signature Chinese spy. I've never seen a pick for any political office, not just vice president, for one of the major parties that has the kind of baggage this guy has. You know, I mean, you don't have to vet too hard to find all these things. All these things about him, or you just Google his name and most everything comes up. I am so tired after today's show. I'm going to have to, I might have to stop and get some caffeine for the drive home. I'm really tired. I knew I was going to be tired after today's show. It was a rough show today. Ugh. I missed the light. Gosh darn it. If I'd have been one car sooner, I would have made the light. Oh, well, I'll check out the chat room. Tim is an American hero? What, South American, maybe? He lied about his rank, lied about his service. That's exactly right. Yeah, he's a Chinese agent. That's exactly right. He is a Chinese agent. There is no doubt in my mind. Tiananmen Tim Walz. I like that nickname. Tiananmen Tim Walz. Yeah, it's cloudy today in Florida. You can see through the sunroof. I mean, my goodness. In America, what did he do that's heroic? To be a hero, you have to do something heroic. What did Tim Walz do that was heroic? For the United States, not China, mind you. If you could tell us what he's done that was heroic, I'd be interested in knowing that. You know, I'm open to positive stories on Tim Walz. I just don't think they exist. Yeah. You can share it? What is that? Yeah, Tim No Balls Walls. I like that. I like Tiananmen Walls, but Tiananmen is long, and I mean, who even knows how to spell it? I don't even know how to spell Tiananmen. I'd have to Google it, right? Oh man, I am exhausted after the show today. Did Trump go to Vietnam? No. No. Who wants to go to Vietnam? Oh, he won't be my VP. He's not going to win. There's no way this country is going to elect a San Francisco liberal with this lunatic, radical liberal by her side. There's just no freaking way. There's just no way. I forgot my sunglasses. They're in my other car, but I could use them. All right, here we go. Come on. Really, guy? Guy pulled in front of me to go 15 miles an hour. I hate that. I mean, if you look at the candidacy between Kamala and Walz and Trump and J.D. Vance, everyone knows what Donald Trump and J.D.'s agenda is, right? Close the border, mass deportations, no taxes on tips, no taxes on Social Security, right? Make permanent the Trump tax cuts. Drill, baby, drill. I mean, you know what Trump and J.D. Vance and their agenda. What is Kamala Harris and Tim Walz promising? Vote for them and they're going to do, what's the list? All I've heard is first woman, non-white, vote for her. I see no agenda, no policy, nothing. Absolutely nothing. I don't even think she knows why she's running. You know, usually when someone runs for president, they have an agenda. Vote for me. I'm going to do this. I'm going to do that. I'm going to do the other thing. Not Kamala. She's going to give an economic speech. You know, the other problem Kamala has is this campaign she's running. She's in power now. She's in the White House now. And she's making campaign promises. She's going to have an economic speech. So she makes a campaign promise, right? No taxes on tips. Why have they already done that? She's running like she's the senator for California. She's in the White House now. So if she was going to do any of these things, she would have done it. Or they'd make a move to do it today or last week, but they're not. Now listen, guys, if you're new to my channel, make sure you subscribe. Everyone who's already subbed, please like the video. I got to run because getting into a lot of traffic here, and I don't want to be live streaming during all this traffic, but I'll see you next time.